What is up, and welcome back to another episode of Blood and Beer, the show where we talk blood sport and we drink beer. I'm your host, Matt, and as always, we got some MMA to talk. Instead of beer to drink today, we got some brew to drink, some cold brew. It's a Slate Mocha Latte, high-protein iced coffee. It's early in the day. What do you expect? It's all right. It's just all right, but we're coming off UFC Seattle. We're recapping that card today. Henry Cejudo versus Song Yadong ends in a technical decision. We'll get into that as well as the entire card in just a moment here. Coming off a $160 profit on our bets. We had 3 bets last week. We had Ion Cutelaba and Ibo Aslan not going, they were going to be under 1.5. That hit easy, no problem. And then Anthony Hernandez, we had him money line as well. So doing pretty good right now. Also over the weekend, we had Artur Beterbiev. He dropped a majority decision to Dimitri Bivol. Bivol gets revenge from their first fight earlier last year. So sets up a pretty obvious trilogy, I think. But it was a good fight. I think we know what we're going to see. It's going to be evenly matched each time. It's just whoever the judges see as the winner. It could go either way each time these guys fight. So I'm not interested in seeing them run that back again. I want to see what else these guys can do before they hang it up. But UFC Seattle, that's what we're here for today, baby. We're recapping this card where a lot of knockouts, fun card for everything that happened to it, where all these fights got canceled due to injury, remade, last-second bookings. All in all, it ended up being a pretty awesome card. Henry Cejudo versus Song Yadong ended in a weird way. It was a technical decision. The whole fight, it was Henry Cejudo pressuring with strikes, feinting the takedowns, but just doing it so his strikes would open up. And Song Yadong was countering on the outside, backing away, staying on his bike. He was landing more strikes, but he was being, in each round he landed more strikes, but he was being backed up and being pressured, so it wasn't real aesthetically pleasing. I thought all the rounds could have gone either way, except for round 3. And in round 3, Song Yadong pokes Cejudo in the eyes. Cejudo takes the full 5 minutes to try to recover, finishes the round out with about a minute left, but in between rounds he's like, I can't see where the punches are coming from, I can't see anything. So with that all happening, everything, they end up doing a weird thing, start the 4th round for 1 second, then they call the doctor back in to say fight's canceled. They go to technical decision, and all 3 judges see it for Song Yadong. It's shitty to see this happen. It doesn't do a whole lot for Song Yadong because the win's got an asterisk by it. Could you have finished him? You were looking good out there, but were you going to be able to stay looking good down the stretch? It's not a real great victory when it ends in this way. And for Henry Cejudo, doesn't lose much, doesn't win anything at all. Obviously, he loses the fight. I'd like to see Cejudo just do fun fights. Fight the Jose Aldo, or if you want to, go beat up Mario Batista. Or if the UFC wants to do some meritocracy, since Mario Batista beat Aldo, let's have Mario Batista versus Song Yadong. 5-round fight. Yadong knocks him out. Love it. We need to get this guy humbled, get this guy out of here. This Mario Batista fella. And then in the co-main event, move on from that one because it was just a weird thing that happened. Co-main event, Anthony Hernandez versus Brendan Allen. Had this fight spot on last week. I said Brendan Allen's got the opening to kick his ass to beat him, but other than that, it's fluffy. And early on, Brendan Allen lands a head kick. It had Fluffy wobbled, but doesn't matter. He shoots the takedown. He gets him down. And his grappling is just so dominant. He stays on top. He doesn't get caught up in transitions. He's just always floating like a wet blanket on top of you. He's always going to put himself in the better position for a submission, for the ground and pound. He's just relentless, and he never stops working, never stops moving. Brendan Allen had some moments on the feet. One moment where he almost got a rear naked in before Anthony Hernandez was able to flip and spin out of it. So all in all, pretty easy decision. Brendan Allen didn't think so. He thought he won the fight, but he thinks that every time he loses, so that's okay. Anthony Hernandez on a 7-fight tear now at middleweight, and dude's a stud. He's the middleweight Marab. He's got an endless gas tank. What's next for him? Give him one of these old dogs that's on their way out. Give him the Cannoniers. Give him the Izzy. Give him the Rob Whittaker. Rob's probably the toughest test of those 3 at this point. But you give him one of those 3, he's going to ragdoll all 3 of them. Just lets him help push out the old dogs, push out the old wave, make room for the new wave coming in, led by the Anthony Hernandez, the guys that are already there with the Caio Borralhos and the Nasruddin Imovovs, getting the Costas, getting the Vittorias, getting those guys out of there. They're past their prime. These are the guys coming up. We need to do it to keep middleweight fresh. We need to do it so that way we don't get in a situation where, the best guy like a Hamzat isn't fighting for the belt, or where a Merab Dvalishvili becomes champ, but he's already cleared out the whole division because there's been no turnover in that division for so many years. Same with 125 and Pantoja. So you need to keep it fresh, need to keep it moving, need to get these guys that are hot and have momentum, get them moved into the top, and just let the old guys sail off into the sunset, give them a nice seat in the Hall of Fame, and that's it for them. Love it. This is all right. Only 1 gram of sugar, though, so that's plus. It kind of tastes like Lysol. Coffee-flavored Lysol. Solid. All right. Moving on to my favorite fighter in the UFC right now, Jean Silva. What he does well. He kills Melzik Baghdasaryan round 1. Stands over top of him after he drops him. Has the guy dead in the rights. Knows it's done. Baghdasaryan kind of looks up. John Silva looks at the ref. The ref's like, finish him. So he just fucking pounces on him. Just unleashes elbows to the head, elbows to the body. So the ref steps in, finishes it. Love to see it. He's just nasty. But what he does after is even better. Calls out Bryce Mitchell. Doesn't like the anti-Semitism that he's been showing. Wants to fight him. And if he fights Bryce Mitchell, he's probably going to do worse than what Josh Emmett did to him. He will actually murder this dude. This dude's a killer, this John Silva. And he has so much fun doing it. Bryce Mitchell might wrestle fuck him, but John Silva has such good takedown defense. He has such a good base. It would be really tough for Mitchell. And I think Mitchell's chin might be cracked after that Josh Emmett knockout. So I love that fight. Runs him over. And then in the main card opener, Alonzo Menifield, he took on UFC debutant Julius Walker. It was a pretty sloppy fight. Walker was controlling with ground time wrestling, but not a lot done. Round 3 was fun. Both guys were really sloppy, swinging just bombs. Split decision went to Menifield. They said it was the fight of the night. It wasn't a very good fight. It was a sloppy fight. It was a mess. It looked like either guy could have got knocked out at any point. But regardless of that, Alonzo Menifield gets the split decision win as a pretty big favorite. He landed the more damaging shots. Not as many, but the more damaging. It was the worst card on the fight, or the worst fight on the card. It was not the worst fight I've ever seen, of course, but it just with the way this card started, it was the first fight that went to decision. That might have made it seem so bad also. But regardless, we'll go to our featured prelim. We had Jan Cutelaba take on Ibo Aslan, and these guys go out swinging, rock 'em, sock 'em robots. Both of them cracking each other big. Both of them get rocked, get wobbled. Neither go down. That's the first 90 seconds. All it is these dudes just trading big bombs. And then Cutelaba mixes it up, shoots a takedown. Ibo Aslan apparently has no idea what to do on the ground because Cutelaba moves right into a head and arm triangle, puts him to sleep, gets him out of there. Easy win for him. I love it. Whenever Jan Cutelaba is fighting, and the same with this Ibo Aslan guy, because he seems like he's just damaged, or caution to the wind. Fuck it, let's go. Whenever these guys are fighting, you bet the under on the 1.5. This time it was minus 125. That hit for me. Who cares if you're not doubling up? It's guaranteed money. It's a guaranteed minus 125 there. And then we also had Milky Costa. He gets a round 1 guillotine over Andre Fili. Fili was getting touched up on the feet, and as soon as he kind of gets momentum, gets a takedown, Costa was being pressured on the ground by Fili. They're chest to chest, but Costa's able to get this guillotine in from half guard and sink it, puts him out, gets the submission. Fili was pissed off, you could tell, but Milky Costa looking good. He's not the most entertaining fighter, but he's figured out how to win. And then we had Mansour Abdul Malik coming in minus 1,300 favorite. Biggest favorite on the card, of course. Might have been the biggest favorite this year in MMA to date. He had a fight with Nick Klein, and Nick Klein put him in some danger early. Cracks Mansour Abdul Malik with a spinning back elbow. Has him wobbled, has him hurt, gets control time up against the fence, gets him to the ground. Doesn't do a ton with it. Gets some shots off here and there, but Abdul Malik survives. Round 2 starts, and he's just wearing on Nick Klein. His shots are really damaging him. Breaks him apart. Klein welts. It's over. Monster Abdul Malik, if he shores up that defense, dude's going to be a problem at 185. He's got nasty power, super athletic. He's got a good gas tank as well. He finishes every fight he's in because of the power he has, but he's very well rounded. I think UFC is going to slow roll this guy. He might be able to do what they want Bo Nickel to do, but one of these young guys that just comes in and steamrolls the division. He might if they play their cards right, if they bring him along right. I wouldn't be surprised with this. Mansur Abdul Malik. We'll call him Mams. M-A-M, Mams. That's my man. All right. And then Ricky Simone gets an absolutely beautiful knockout. Javid Basharat. Basharat's coming in a 2.5 or minus 265 favorite, I think, in this. And Ricky Simone, he might be getting touched up on the feet a little bit. He's missing the overhand right over and over until he's not. He lands a hook and then an overhand right. Puts Basharat out cold. And then what's he do? Ref doesn't step in time, so Ricky Simone comes in with the Hendo bomb, tries to murder this dude, keeps him out for an extra minute or two. Basharat didn't know what hit him. It was beautiful. Nice little win for Ricky Simone, a guy that's just, he's a jobber. He's fighting on these fight nights, putting up good fights, testing the up-and-comers. They're either going to have a grueling fight where they probably beat him in a decision, or he's going to knock him the fuck out. So that's where Ricky Simone's at in his career right now. I'm loving to see it. And I love the blonde-haired dude who's repping. Looked like a miniature Marshall Mathers. And then we had Mr. Van Zandt, Paige Van Zandt's boyfriend, Austin Vanderford. He made his UFC debut versus Nikolai Baretnikov. And Austin Vanderford just signed his UFC contract this week. They needed him short notice. Former Bellator title challenger. He did shit the bed when he fought Gegard Mousasi. But this fight, he goes out there. He looks good. He gets a lot of ground control in round 1. Round 2, he gets Varetnikov on the ground and starts raining down ground and pound. Ref stops in, calls it off. Varetnikov gets pissed at the end, pushes Vanderford like it shouldn't have been a stoppage. I didn't think it was a bad stoppage. He's defending himself, but he's getting wailed on up against the cage. He's upside down with his feet in the air. Totally fine with that stoppage. Kind of interested to see what Vanderford has for us. He's a 170 fighter. He could be pretty interesting in the UFC. He's got a style that's going to piss people off, and kind of like Colby Covington, he's going to wrestle fuck you. But that's what wins anymore. And if he's got cardio, if he's got that gas tank, he might just be a wrench in that 170 division. Might piss some people off. Might take out your favorite fighter in a real boring way. Watch out for Vanderford. And then we had Ruzaboyev, Zaboyev. He gets a round 2 TKO over UFC debut. Eric McConaughey steps in on about a week and a half, 2 weeks notice. So what do? Poor guy. Didn't stand much of a chance. Listen, Zaboyev has the most fraudulent record there is. If you look at the guys he fought until he got to the UFC, they're like 0-2, 0-18. Just absolute garbage record. Guys with a decent record, and I'm talking decent like 12-6, beat him on the regional scene. So he's lucky to have made it to the UFC. He has won a lot of fights just because of his size, his awkwardness. He's crafty, but yeah, gets a TKO with the punch, drops McConaughey a couple of times in the fight, just had him hurt. And then in the curtain jerker, we had Modestas Bukauskas. He steamrolls Rafael Cerquera. Steamrolls him, gets him up against the fence. 1-2. Cerquera's wobbled and then just jumps in with a bunch of more 2s. Knocks him out. Performance of the night bonus. Fight of the night, at least. UFC gave it to Menefield and Julius Walker, but I had that one going to Matsumoto and Font. So, and I think I skipped that fight, but yeah, that was kind of a robbery. I thought Matsumoto won it. They were completely even in the striking. Matsumoto wrestled him, and he did good wrestling. MMA Guru said on Twitter, I saw it, he said if he was ugly in Dagestani or from the Caucasus Mountains, they would have given him the fight with the way he fought, because he was getting the takedowns, the control time, and he was even in the striking. But because he's not from that region, they looked at it like it was a vice, like he was using it to get away from the fight. I don't know. But he loses split decision to Rob Font. turning back the clock. Did it to Kyler Phillips last time. Now he does it to undefeated John Matsumoto. This is kind of a good fight to end it on because it lets me talk about how many O's have gone in the UFC just since the start of this year. You know, we're only 2 months into the fight year, and we've got one more card before the end of the month, I think. What year is it? 25? No, we got one more on March 1st. But January to February, we've seen Umar Nurmagomedov lose. We've seen Peyton Talbot lose. We've seen this this John Matsumoto guy lose. We've seen all these dudes with these O's, these huge prospects losing in the year of our Lord 2025. And I think the reason for that is because even though the new wave, they have a different style and it's a better style in the long run, these old guys, these vets, they know that, hey, I'm going to play a little possum, let you blow your load. And then once you're done, I'm going to come in and kill you. I'm going to just fucking put you out early. And it seems like that happens a lot. That's not what happened with Matsumoto here, but you look at Peyton Talbot, that's what happened against Raoni Barcelos. With Umar Nurmagomedov against Merab Dvalishvili, you know, he goes out there hot in rounds 1 and 2, cracking him on the feet, and then Dvalishvili says, I got you, bud, and just fucking wrestle fucks him. That's the word of the day, wrestle fuck. All right. So that's what we have for this card. It was a hell of a card, honestly. A- when you look at everything it's lost and how it ends up turning out. You had 8 of the 13 fights being finishes, and none of the non-finishing fights were bad fights other than the Julius Walker-Alonzo Menifield fight of the night. It was a good fucking card. It was fun. You had a fun grappling war with Brendan Allen and Anthony Hernandez. He opened up some more paths in the middleweight division there with that. So that's always fun. You kind of close a door in the flyweight division with Henry Cejudo and Song Yadong. Both of them had a chance with an epic performance, a standout performance. Both of them had a chance to get a title shot potentially. You know, Henry going for the rematch with Merab and Song Yadong just going out there. If he starches Henry Cejudo, all love, baby. That's a title shot because there's not a lot for Merab now. And now Dana's saying that it's going to be Sean versus Merab. He thinks that's what the people want to see. I don't think anybody wants to see their favorite fighter go up against Merab because they know what's going to fucking happen. He's going to wrestle fuck him. Word of the day. All right. So that's what we got for you. UFC Seattle. What a card. What a night. Fun as hell. Did all right on our bets. Like I said, plus 160 on the 1,000 this week. So we moved just a little bit closer away from mediocrity. Instead of being at plus 1337, we are now at plus 1497. Next week's card is trash. It's Manel Kape versus Almabayev. And that could be a fun fight. Manel Kape's on a hell of a run. Almabayev's a devastating wrestler, boring as shit. He will go for submissions against bad fighters. Kape's kind of bad on the ground, but he's got good takedown defense. Super dynamic on the feet. This could be his number one contender fight. Probably not the same case for Almabayev, but also on the card, my prelim hero of 2024, my favorite fighter in the flyweight division right now that's not getting any love, Charles Energy Johnson. He's going to be going up against some Russian who's going to try to wrestle him, and Johnson's not going to do that. He's going to scramble, he's going to box him, and then he's going to jiu-jitsu him up. When the guy doesn't like the jiu-jitsu, it'll go back to the feet, and he's going to make it ugly and just beat on the guy, wear on him. I love it. Charles Johnson, calling it now. We're putting a bet on him as a dog next week. That's all I got for you. Not a lot of MMA news since that fucking bombshell earlier last week. So, thank you for tuning in. I'm Matt with Blood and Beer. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you thought of these fights this weekend. What did you think of Henry Cejudo? Was he... I mean, we saw the pictures... If you're online at least, his eye was fucked. But was he right in the way he stopped it? What do you think's next for these guys, for any of the fighters? What do you want to see next? Thank you for tuning in. I don't know what else to say. I'm just rambling. I'm a rambling man.